Hello and welcome to A Better Morning. I am Jared Moore, and let us welcome today's panel. The fantasy executive, Corey Parson. Lead analyst of Fantasy Alarm, lead NFL analyst, of Fantasy Alarm, Andrew Coop Cooper. Host of Her Story in the Making and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. And the head of content for Fantasy Alarm and award-winning host of SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Howard Bender.
And notorious non-day off giver, Howard Bender.
Well, does sports take a day off there, Corey? No, it sure doesn't. So neither should you, my man. Should you.
Trust me.
Toughen up that skin, man. You kind of soft these days, aren't you? Is it because you're so old? You got so much gray in your beard? You're feeling soft?
Don't worry about it.
I'll try not to worry too much.
Without further ado, let's get to it. And let's start with the big news out of the NBA this weekend, as after 11 seasons with the Portland Trail Blazers, Damian Lillard has requested a trade. According to Woj, the Miami Heat, LA Clippers, and Philadelphia 76ers are three teams that will have interest in exploring trades for the superstar guard. So, Corey, I ask you, what would be the best fit for Dame?
Well, obviously a player like Damian Lillard anywhere can be a good fit, but here's what I would warn people. If Damian Lillard gets what he wants, and that is to become a member of the Miami Heat, then at that point, everybody else in the NBA is playing for second place next season. We all know what type of player Damian Lillard is, but a big three of Lillard, Butler, and Bam Adebayo, you mix that in with Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, and that Miami Heat culture, that's going to be a very difficult team to beat right there. Now, here's the deal. This is where it gets interesting. Damian Lillard wants to be in Miami, but Woj was reporting as recently as last night that he doesn't have a no-trade clause like Bradley Beal did. So the Portland Trail Blazers are more or less taking it as if, okay, well, we're going to take the best offer. And if it's not Miami, then so be it. So going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue there is the no trade clause, and Dame not having that. So you kind of have to look around the rest of the league and try and figure out who's got the best package to end up sending over to Portland. And you know what? I'm kind of looking around here, and if you're looking for a good landing spot for Lillard where they can give him the compensation back, I'm kind of looking over at the Brooklyn Nets right now. I think that they've got enough young players. I think they've got enough draft capital. They can definitely send that over. And then you got Mikal Bridges, who Lillard has already said he loves Mikal Bridges, would love to play with Mikal Bridges. So between them and Cam Johnson, I think that's that would be a pretty nice trio. You get the experience of Lillard with the two young studs there. I think the Brooklyn Nets can do something.
Yes, the Brooklyn Nets with their illustrious history of successfully trading for stars. I would say, I'm with Corey Parson on this one. I'm terrified, especially personally as a Celtics fan, terrified that he ends up with the Heat because Jimmy Butler's already the boogeyman. You add a guy in Dame Lillard who is one of the most clutch players, already sixth all time in three-pointers, to go along with Eric Spoelstra, who I'm not sure about you guys, but I personally believe he's potentially a top 5 all-time coach in this league at this point. When you give his resume, that's the scary thing for me. And if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers, you got to take a step back and think about what this guy has done for you the whole time, through the whole period with CJ McCollum and the whole I'm trying Jennifer period. Like, this guy stuck with them for so long, you can't just help him out a little bit, the tiniest bit.
Yeah, I really would like Dame to go to the 76ers. I mean, they're likely losing James Harden. If they get Lillard, they're getting a better replacement. His outside shot and his ability to utilize the pick and roll would really complement Joel Embiid's mid-range shot. And these two would be an absolute nightmare for opposing defenders. But the problem with going to the 76ers is Lillard has said outright that he doesn't want to play there. And you're wondering what kind of capital the 76ers are willing to give up for a guy who doesn't even want to be there. I think that the trade package floating around is pretty huge, so I'm not sure that he goes there. We know that he wants to go to Miami, and I really like that option there. And I think that they can get it done trading Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, that's always part of. Oops, go ahead, Corey.
You know what's interesting is normally in the NBA, when one of these big time superstar athletes requests a trade, everybody goes, "Oh boy, here we go again." But you notice with Damian Lillard, everybody's like, "Yo, yeah, you know what? It is time for you to get out of Portland, bro. No more Damian Lillard in the purple hair city." Now, with that being said, he's such a dangerous player that he can really change the course of the Eastern Conference, particularly. But getting with Miami would be a problematic thing for the rest of the East. But Coop, who said Bender, the Brooklyn Nets? When teams go to New York, when players go to New York teams to win championships, they don't go to Brooklyn. They go to the Bronx.
No, listen, and I totally get that. But you guys tell me, what really Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero, that's what's going to get it done for Portland? They're going to look at that and be like, oh, yeah, that definitely looks like a great trade. Or are the Trailblazers actually looking to build something and trying to acquire some draft capital? It doesn't matter what Dame Lillard wants to do. And no, the Portland Trailblazers don't give a crap about sending him somewhere where he can win a championship. You really think they care about that? No, they care about what they're getting back. So you guys tell me. I'm not the basketball expert here. I'm just telling you that if I'm the Portland Trailblazers and my top player wants to get traded and I'm going to actually do it, I'm going to get the biggest, fattest, ugliest, beautiful return that I got to get.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that in the NBA, it's not like the NFL where a first round pick's kind of a first round pick and second round picks are nice. Like second round picks are useless. And if you don't have a top half first round pick, either somebody else's or yours, now you're trading multiple. And they even obviously put the rules in place where you can't trade back-to-back picks. So it's like, if you're trying to build for the future, now you're taking picks in like every other year for forever, right?
The problem is that Portland needs draft picks because superstar players don't want to go play in Portland. Portland's a small market, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, once you get out there, it's like, bro, you're watching the clock until it's time to hit free agency.
It's a weekend, Corey. You don't even got to take Monday off.
So if Lillard has to get exiled to Brooklyn to make the Portland Trailblazers happy, then so be it. I don't see Miami ponying up what they need to pony up in order to get this deal done.
Please no. Please no Miami.
Well, who gives a please? Come on. We all know that. It's fine. If Dame Lillard goes to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be trash, and poor Dame Lillard.
That would be great for the Celtics. That'd be great for the Celtics. Yeah. If he goes to the Heat, that's a real problem, though. It really is.
Oh, yeah. Spoken like a true Celtics fan. Nobody cares.
Great stuff, guys. Let me jump in here. Let's stick with the NBA. A lot of news to come out this week during NBA free agency. You can see a recap of the ticker below. So, Coop, I'm going to ask you, what move or moves has stood out to you thus far in NBA free agency?
Yeah, there's been a ton of stuff. The Draymond, Kyrie staying in Dallas. The one that is most interesting to me and that I spent the most time thinking about was the Austin Reeves one, right? Because I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm like, Austin Reeves, he deserves big money. And I saw it was max deal. And then I looked at it and it's kind of, he's only getting paid $12 million this year. I know they set it up that way on purpose, like Arenas rule or whatever, but nobody wanted to swoop in and offer this guy a contract to bring him in as a restricted free agent. But then I'm thinking about the way that's set up too, and nobody can have that money tied up for that long. So the Lakers kind of got gifted this one on a silver platter here. Hopefully LeBron James does his thing and drops the presence on Austin Reeves, because this guy's getting paid this year less than Max Strus.
Yeah, shout out to Arkansas boy Austin Reeves on the Lakers. Good for him for getting a deal, but he's kind of become the face of the Lakers. I mean, apparently if you drive around LA, his face is all over billboards all the way across town. And he had a huge impact during the postseason. He had 16.9 points, 4.6 assists, and 4.4 rebounds in the 16 postseason games in his career. And I feel like he deserved a little bit more. So I agree. I think that the Lakers got a little bit of a steal. I'm also looking at this humongous deal that Fred VanVleet got with the Rockets. I mean, you talk about a guy betting on himself. This guy bet on himself and molded himself into an all-star. And after going undrafted and having a fairly disappointing first year, and it paid off. It just kind of confuses me that he's going to a young team that he's going to have to mold. You've got Amin Thompson, you've got Jabari Smith, you've got a ton of talent, but it just is questionable.
Yeah, the Rockets also may have the best coach in the NBA with Ime Udoka, and it is interesting to see Van Fleet and Dylan Brooks go join those young players out in Houston. Houston's trying to put themselves in a situation where maybe they can compete with, the OKCs, the Timberwolves, and the New Orleans Pelicans, for that, in that play-in spot in the Western Conference. Interesting to see if that would happen. But I'm sorry, Coop, the best move of this offseason so far has been Marcus Smart joining the Memphis Grizzlies. Here's a team that's ready to compete at the highest level. Obviously, this past season had an issue with Ja Morant, but don't forget that Brandon Clark and Steven Adams didn't play in the playoffs this year as well. So now you add veteran leadership and a guy in that locker room, a guy who has been to the places where the Grizzlies want to go. So I think right now the Grizzlies are winning this because that Marcus Smart move was about as good as you can get.
Wow, you're giving me 20 seconds of your time, Corey. Well,
The clock wasn't running for me, Bender.
I'm gonna let it come right back to you here. So the question was, what move stood out to you the most? And I got to tell you, I think it's the Rockets. Here, you bring in Van Vliet. Okay, fine, that's great. I have no problem with him whatsoever. But you end up doing a deal that gets you Dylan Brooks for 4 years, $80 million. I mean, listen. I get that he's fine defensively on the court, but this dude shot 39% from the field during the regular season, and then 31% from the field in the postseason. This is also a guy who's a bit of a locker room pain in the ass, and the question is why that much for that, Corey?
No, that was a lot of money. Nobody was expecting Dylan Brooks to come up and to get that big offer like that. But that's why you go to a young team like Houston, and that's why the people in Houston know if we want to get these kind of players, we're going to have to go ahead and pay up. As far another move that's interesting was the Golden State Warriors getting Jordan Poole off that team. I think they needed to do that. That was paramount to them being successful. I think you had two factions in that locker room that kind of killed the last season. As long as Steph Curry is still capable, Golden State's still a contender. So you get that dude off the team. They happy with their little big three that's been together, the BFFs out there in the Bay Area. So Jordan Poole going to Washington was critical as well. And you know what? Don't be surprised if Poole's average 27, 28 points a game next year.
That's what I was saying before, that move across the board, great for fantasy. Makes Poole better, makes Clay and Curry better. But I don't know if we're picking the most important move, I'm not sure I can pick an addition by subtraction move.
No doubt.
Suns in 4.
Suns don't have no players.
Suns in 4.
Hypothetically, they've gotten every player this offseason, though, Corey.
You guys see that knot on Coop's head? Right? Suns in 4, baby.
You put that there, Howard.
That's why I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Tell me.
Little time. Let's move on to NFL preview by divisions. We're going to go to the AFC West, and you can see the odds on the ticker below. Britt, I ask you, are we going to make a case for any of the underdogs here, or are we going chalk?
No, it's the Chiefs are probably going to win this division again. Let's be real. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are just crazy good. But if I'm betting, I'm not taking negative 160 odds. I think that the AFC West is actually going to be a lot tighter this season with Kellen Moore in an offensive coordinator for the Chargers, with Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi now at the helm in Denver. I don't think that there's any question that the Raiders are going to finish last with the question marks that they have around their quarterback and their defense. But I think that the Broncos and the Chargers can make a run for the number one spot. The Chiefs didn't really have any home run hitters last season outside of Mahomes and Kelce, and they still figured out a way to win. I think that they take this division, but I'm not laying money on negative 160.
So the Chiefs are minus 160, but so are the Jaguars. Listen, if you have to bet this division, the proper way to go about it is probably to lay that number with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid been doing this for a long time. But I am willing to guarantee each and every last single one of you that the Oakland Raiders, or excuse me, I'm John Madden, that the Las Vegas Raiders will be the second finisher in this division and the playoff team in the AFC this year. Last year, that situation with Derek Carr did not work right. They still got Devontae. Listen, they got Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, two players who can lead their league in their respective position. You bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, who knows that offense better than anybody. Britt, I got some side action if you want. The Vegas Raiders will finish second in the AFC West.
Listen, I would love to see the two of you guys fight it out for that, because I got to be honest with you, I'm going to side a little bit here with Britt on the sense that, I worry about the Raiders and what their quarterback situation is going to be, because if Jimmy does have troubles with his foot, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They don't have a backup plan. Brian Hoyer's not the guy. The phrase is, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man, and there's nobody out there who's going to take down the Kansas City Chiefs in this division. Yeah, last year, the year before that, I even would have been like, yeah, Chargers, but they just don't seem to have enough to get over that hump. And I don't think Kellen Moore, as their new OC, is really going to do that for them. This is all Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. They don't need any stud playmakers. They showed you that last year. They did it all without it. So Chiefs for me.
See, I disagree on that one, Howard. I think that, obviously, if it were all equal, then everyone would pick the Chiefs. But you can get these Chargers at plus 300. And looking at last year, Justin Herbert he was second in the league in passing yards, and he was outside the top 32 in average depth of target. That's 100% a Joe Lombardi problem. And Kellen Moore comes in and fixes that problem. Not only that, but this team is a team every year where the injuries come in and crush them. Somebody from the line gets hurt, one or both of Mike Williams or Keenan Allen get hurt every year. They bought the Band-Aids in advance this time with Quentin Johnson in the first round, right? No more Josh Palmer, no more throwing to Gerald Everett. If somebody goes down, they already have the answer there. So all they need now is one more back to complement Austin Eckler, Zeke Elliott, Leonard Fournette. I don't care who it is. And this team is perfect, ready to rock and roll, man. So I'm willing to take it. Also, Corey, on your bet, the number on DraftKings for the Las Vegas Raiders to finish exactly in second place in this division.
Plus 600.
Plus 600, man. So
hammer time.
Hammer time.
Time.
How much is Tommy paying you to say all these nice things about the Raiders?
Listen, here's the deal. Go ahead, Britt. I know you wanted to hop in here because I called you out specifically. So come in here and then I will correct your statements.
Well, I just want to talk about, aside from the uncertainties around Jimmy Garoppolo's foot, last year Devontae Adams was number 2 in the league in deep targets. As far as Jimmy Garoppolo's deep ball completion percentage, he ranked 26th in the league. There is no way that I believe that he's going to be able to get that production that Adams needs to be a good enough wide receiver to win in this league. I don't think that there's any way.
Adams was better with Adams was great last year, but he could have had an even better season if Derek Carr knew that offense the way that Jimmy Garoppolo already does. And listen, the Chargers are the most Red Cross franchise in pro sports, a straight charity anytime you put your money on them. Why do people keep believing that this Charger team is all of a sudden, year after year, oh, the Chargers going to do this, the Chargers going to do that? The Chargers don't never do nothing. They got an idiot head coach, and now guess what? They got an idiot offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I got Coop. Even before you even try, let me ask you: when was the last time in the last 7 years that you bet the Chargers as a favorite at home by a touchdown or more? Because they never cover, ever cover. In fact, they lose outright more than they cover a touchdown or better spread at home, and that's not just last year. That's the last, I don't know, I'd say about 7 years. The Chargers are just that team. I love them. There's so much I love Herbert. I love Eckler. I love Rashawn Slater. I love Mike Williams. I love Keenan Allen. I love them all. And you know what? They just never get it done, ever.
How many times did I bet it, or how many times did I win?
You won 0.
I bet it a lot.
Because you probably never bet it.
But I'll tell you, no, I have bet it quite a few times. And I know you. I understand. They are choke artists. They are choke artists. But like I said, last year they were one. If they had one back that could get a first down on 3rd and 1, that could run when the other team knows you're going to run, then they would have beaten the Jaguars. And then who knows what would happen after that?
Oh yeah, well, if
they had won that game,
if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
If your aunt is Ezekiel Elliott, he needs to get over there with his boy Kellen Moore and let's get this going, baby.
If the Raiders lost 11 games last year, 9 of those losses was by 5 points or less.
Corey,
They're
nobody's
right
talking about
on
the
the
Raiders,
doorstep.
dude.
They're right on the doorstep.
Jimmy
I'm
Garoppolo
telling
is not
you.
winning a damn thing, dude.
Jimmy Garoppolo done took team Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, but nobody don't like Jimmy
The
Garoppolo.
teams,
Okay.
the teams took
They
Jimmy.
did it in spite of him. That's what. All right,
The
we'll see
team
what
took
happens
him
this
to the
year.
Super Bowl. Yeah,
Okay, we'll see.
maybe. I will give you this on Devontae Adams. I think that people are overdoing it, especially in fantasy football, when they say that he can't have a better season. If you look at his last 3 years, the catch rate, 77%, 72%. Last year with Derek Carr,
How much?
55%.
Bingo.
Which
He
is
could
like
have a humongous year.
that's like scrub cut numbers, man. He had 180 targets, only caught 100. So I mean, like he doesn't even need 180.
Devontae Adams' number. Derek Carr can't run this offense. I know who can.
Yeah, Derek Carr is definitely not smart enough to run this offense, and that's what the biggest issue was right there. I mean, Josh McDaniels trying to teach that offense to Derek Carr was like, I don't even know, like me trying to, teach a turtle how to run fast. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
No,
I think the most telling thing that we have right here right now is that nobody's mentioned the Denver Broncos, the poor Denver Broncos. What's going to happen? You've got Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi taking their offensive scheme over to Denver. We don't love some Cortland Sutton out there, some Jerry Jeudy, nothing. No, anyone.
As getting the game, Tommy Rouch points out in the chat, he's a Raiders fan, and last year I had a bet. Broncos versus Raiders, better record. Loser eats a tomato like an apple live on air. And I still have tomato seeds in my keyboard from that bet. So I'm not betting on the Broncos ever again.
You should take the same advice with the Chargers.
Well, the thing is, plus 300 I like. If a tomato was on the line, I might not be willing
wrong
to
with
bet
eating
it.
a tomato like an apple? That's no big
Yeah.
deal.
I do that for lunch.
Yeah, you guys are sick.
All right, good stuff, guys. Last topic of the day. Let's talk a little baseball. We're basically at the midway point of the season right now. You can see the updated World Series odds on the bottom of your screen right now. So, Howard, I ask you, out of this group of MLB teams, who would you be looking to put a few shekels on for a World Series futures bet?
You know me. I love risking some shekels here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a look believe it or not, I'm going to take a look at the Texas Rangers. I think that the Rangers are sitting there at plus 950 right now. This is a team offensively, top to bottom, absolutely beautiful. One of the reasons why they're one of the best offensive teams right now, it's not just because Semien and Corey Seager are there at the top. It's that you got guys like Josh Young and Jonah Heim contributing from the middle to the bottom part of the order. You even have Leody Taveras doing that. Look for the Rangers to make some moves here at the trade deadline, whether they grab Scherzer or Verlander, whoever the Mets are going to give up. I think that's definitely a possibility. You throw another starting pitcher or two into this Texas rotation, and I think that's the team to beat in the American League right now. I yield 4 seconds.
Thank you. You owe me a lot more than 4, Howard. For me personally,
Really?
Dude, enough. I'm betting on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Britt, it's for you. And it's for 2 reasons, really. One, because I think that they're right now, not only the best team in baseball, but the best run organization. The other is I want this team to teach some of these other teams a lesson that you should pay your stars. When you have a megastar that everyone loves, pay that player. That's why you're in this league, right? So all these fans that have to watch Freddie Freeman go out and bat 300 and have all these playful antics, all the fans that have to watch Mookie Betts and JD Martinez, this team, I want them to, go back to back, teach everyone a lesson about keeping their stars there, especially the homegrown ones, right? So if I'm not going to root for the Red Sox, I'll root for the Red Sox West.
Yeah, I thank you for that bet, Coop, but I can never bet on the Dodgers. As much as I'd love for them to go to the World Series, I'm not touching that bet. I think they have too many injuries on the pitching staff, and something always goes wrong with them. So I'm not touching it. I'm going chalk with the Braves at plus 360. I just think that they're so complete, and they've really been on a hot streak lately. I mean, they've won 16 out of their last 17 games. You've got Acuna, who has a legitimate shot for NL MVP. And that's really saying something because the rest of their roster is stacked. They're really firing on all cylinders. And as much as I like the Rays as well, I think that the Braves have them beat as far as completeness goes. So give me those odds at plus 360. And I will yield to Corey. I don't even know how much time's left.
Don't worry about it. I'll go ahead and bring up the rear. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to take the same team that Coop took, the team that Britt will not take because of her biases. And I'm going to go with the Dodgers too. a fantasy exec, why you like the Dodgers to win the World Series? Because, like Coop said, the Dodgers willing to spend money. If they do get an injury, they got the prospects in the farm system to trade from that to go in there and bring some other pieces. The bankroll is unlimited. We've seen this team play in big-time matter and big-time spots before. Clutch bats in the lineup, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez, clutch arms as well, has been there before. And yeah, the Dodgers have let their backers down sometimes in years in the past. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Dodgers right here because the Yankees ain't in no place to win it right now. So give me the West Coast version of the Yankees, not Red Sox.
Well, all this Dodger love, that lineup at the bottom end of the lineup, once you get past that top end of the lineup, like who are the role players there on this team who are really going to be able to get it done? Also,
that's something that you can say about this show. Once you get past the top of the lineup, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
I think the Dodgers lack some punch on the mound right now. I think they're going to have to make some moves, and yeah, they're going to have to spend some money to do it. But they just don't have the role players, to round out the bottom end of that lineup. Look at the Padres right now. We everybody was so in on the Padres. We love that top end of that lineup. The bottom end of the lineup's not doing garbage right now, and they're not staying in games, and they're struggling a ton. Again, the next 2 weeks after the All-Star break are going to be the most telling because we're really going to see who the sellers are going to be. And once we find out, which teams are really going to start dealing off all of their studs, that's where we're going to start looking and it's going to start taking shape. I agree with Britt that the Braves are the class of the National League. No doubt about it. I will put my money on them to come out of the National League. But if we're talking about World Series champs and potential, if you give me another top flight starter on that Texas Rangers team, they're going somewhere.
I like that. And Howard, you're absolutely 100% right that the bet on the Dodgers is Howard, you're 100% right and 100% handsome. Is that what you wanted to hear, right? The bet on the Dodgers is the bet that the team that's most willing to be the buyers and the team that's most willing to make the moves does that. Even if they continue to play the way they're playing right now, if they don't make a big splash, I'll actually feel a little queasy about that, putting that bet down. But at plus 480 and they make a couple splashes, now the number is going to start looking like plus 200. So I'm trying to get in right now.
Can we shout it out to Toronto Dave, who is clearly foraging for mushrooms right now in the forest, talking all this Blue Jay stuff?
Unbiased. Man. Toronto Dave with the unbiased Blue Jays bet.
I'd rather shout out him than Bettor Boss, who's like, I was on Seattle early. There's no punch in that lineup whatsoever.
There you go, dude.
And Logan Gilbert sucks.
Well, that's it for today's edition of A Better Morning. Thank you to Corey, Howard, Britt, and Coop. And we wish everyone a better day.